other in 2021 and a fourth rounder in 21 as well. Ramsey, a two-time Pro Bowler after getting drafted by the Jaguars, number 5 overall in 2016, was actually the final of 3 deals the Rams made yesterday. It began with them trading away Marcus Peters to the Ravens, and all in all, the Rams had to trade 4 picks and Peters to bring in Ramsey and others. And so I want to cover 2 sides of this story. Let's start with this part of it. The addition of Jalen Ramsey, who we have said at this table now for several weeks is the best cover corner in the National Football League. I'll sit here and say, okay, the Rams needed to make a big move. They did. Do they now have what it takes to make another run to the Super Bowl?
No, they don't. Not this year, not as this team is constructed or the way that it's playing. Now, you can do different things defensively, and this helps any defense. When you get a guy with this type of talent, with these type of measurables, and also this type of moxie that will stand in front of the number 1 receiver from any team in man-to-man and not care how many times you throw at him, it makes you a good defensive coordinator, which Wade Phillips already is. But last I checked, he can't block. Last I checked, he can't throw the football. Last I checked, he can't run it. And so if you can't do those things, that's what the Rams need right now. When you watch that game, that was the Jeff Fisher Rams all over again. I was looking for the Hard Knocks cameras because it seemed like Jared Goff couldn't call plays. And so if they don't get those things fixed, yeah, you can lock down a side of the field, and you're going to need to because you're not scoring enough points.
So we can talk more about the impact on the Rams a little bit later. I'm fascinated by the way this thing played out because I've been covering sports a really long time. And to see what the NFL players are managing to do, and I'm always pro player in all circumstances, to see the way they have been able to take control of their circumstances, a guy who still has another year left on his deal, as Jalen Ramsey does, to force his way out without having to hold out. You said it earlier. He didn't miss any game checks. And he got exactly what he wanted. This is not the football that we have been accustomed to seeing.
They've always had this power. These star players have always had this power. They've just chosen not to exercise it. And I think part of that is tied up in the mythology around being a part of a team and not wanting to let your guys down and not wanting to separate yourself out. But when you get an opportunity, you need to flex your muscle when you get a chance. And these players are doing it. I'm proud of them, and I hope.
Well, but let me just ask you quickly. I'm not a doctor, and I don't have access to an MRI, but, I mean, if all of a sudden his back is 100% fine after it cost him to miss all of these games, if you're one of his now former teammates, you have an issue with that?
No. I mean, he had some weeks off, so if it was hurt, now he's feeling better. And if it's all hogwash and nonsense, oh, well, you're my guy now.
Is there nothing to the team side of
this?
Them? But the whole letting the team, is there nothing to that? Is there nothing? You're a guy who wanted to play in Denver even though you knew it might kill you because you wanted to be out there for your teammates.
That's not smart.
Yeah, that's called being stupid.
Yeah, and so
you're good with it?
I am good with it because what we don't talk about here is those conversations are had.
Yeah.
Right? Like you talk about those things to your homeboys and to your brothers and to your teammates, and they understand those. And when you listen to the people in that locker room talk, they understand that part of this business is the business. Right. And Jalen Ramsey was being a part of the business.
So, Dan Graziano, right now, as we speak, the owners are meeting and they're talking about what conversations do you think they're having about this?
Well, they're very concerned about this trend. I mean, this oversimplification of it is we don't want to become the NBA, and they've seen that happen to the NBA, and they don't want it to happen to them. But I think they're probably going to find that genie is out of the bottle already. I mean, these guys know they can do it. To Dominique's point, they know their value. And in terms of how the other players view it, even the players that you talk to that know they'll never have the ability to do this because they won't be big stars, they don't put all the blame or responsibility on Jalen Ramsey. I mean, there's some aspect of this that is the people who run the Jacksonville Jaguars created an environment that Jalen Ramsey did not want to be in anymore. And that's on them as well as him.
And I know we got to go, but I remember being on the phone when we signed a new CBA and knowing that dudes felt like they had to go back to work. What's happened is Ezekiel Elliott, Jalen Ramsey have said, you know what? I'm not working unless I get what I want. That's where the power is.
That's happened historically for a long time. Usually they just didn't get what they want and eventually had to go back and get paid whatever the owners wanted. This is a very different circumstance. Maria, where do we go next?
Calls that they want, Greeny. Week 6 brought us some controversial ones. Started Thursday with the no call that was upheld on a play where Patriots defender Jonathan Jones made a significant contact with Giants receiver Golden Tate before the ball arrived. Then Sunday, the Browns also came out on the short end of the stick. Several questionable calls, including the officials upholding no touchdown on Jarvis Landry at the goal line stand. Then the Jets. The Cowboys had a Jason Witten touchdown catch nullified by an offensive pass interference call that both Tony Romo and Gene Steratore definitely weren't fans of. And then there was Monday officials erring when they called a second hands to the face penalty against Lions defensive end Trey Flowers and set up the Packers' game-winning field goal. Here's Troy Vincent on the second call.
There was one that was clear that we support, and there was other that when you look at it, you review the play, not something that you want to see called, in particular on the pass rush. One that you can support, but the other one clearly after you review it, you've seen some slow-mos, the foul wasn't there.
Okay, so just to put the officiating into context, there have been 1,376 penalties accepted this season. According to Elias, that is the second most through Week 6 since the NFL merger in 1970. And only 2005 saw more penalties accepted at this same point in the season. And now we are joined by Jeremy Fowler, who's at the owners' meetings in Florida. First of all, Jeremy, what are you hearing from these meetings about the officiating issues this season?
Well, Maria, I've spoken to multiple owners here. There is concern, no question about it, but nobody's hyperventilating here. They know the games are going to continue. I spoke with Steelers president Art Rooney. He said, look, nearly 15 penalties per game, that's too many. So let's focus on the pace of play, getting that number down a little bit. But there was no voting taking place here. It was really just a talk among owners and officials about the state of the game and how they can kick the ball forward. And there was one small consolation. I don't know if fans want to hear this, but holding is down. The first 2 weeks that held scoring down a little bit. They've told owners they've gotten that under control, so that's something.
Okay, Jeremy, also a big focus coming into this year, the new pass interference review rule. So what's being said about the lack of overturned calls?
Well, Maria, it's funny. The owners are basically placing the issue back on the coaches. They're saying, if you're going to challenge this, you better get it right. I spoke with Jerry Jones, and he said the officials are trying to get the call right on the field. So you better be ready to lose that timeout if you're going to challenge it. But the numbers are crazy. We're talking about coaches losing 24 of their last 25 challenges. And so, this is a rule that's not going away anytime soon. There's still a little bit of tension, Maria, because Art Rooney pointed out to me, this is a rule that they did not want to even pass in the spring. A lot of owners were skeptical about it, but the competition committee made a good case and they rolled with it. Now they know they have a full year. They hope it works itself out, but there still are major concerns about this, and it wouldn't be a surprise if it's not in place next year.
All right, Jeremy, well, thanks for your time. He is our ears and eyes in the owners' meeting streets right now. Greeny?
Well, that was so interesting. I mean, I find all of this stuff incredibly fascinating with the officiating. And Dan, as he was talking, I know you were listening closely, and you were making the point with all these penalties that are being called, they're doing what they're being told to do, yes?
Penalties are up because they've told them to call more penalties. They wanted, the coaches wanted an emphasis on holding calls. It's too many are being gotten away with. And you heard Jeremy say they're down the last couple of weeks because this always happens, right, with officiating. First month, it went too far. We have to dial it back. So now they're not going to call as many as they set out to call this season. Offensive pass interference, another thing they wanted to start calling more. So penalties are up, accepted penalties are up. The officials are carrying out their instructions, and I think that's an institutional issue. When you have the coaches want something, the owners want something, it's not always the same thing.
You said OPI, and it triggered me, because I watch football every weekend, and they do not call it. The rule is written the same for the offense as it is for the defense, and the offense still gets away with more. And you're right. One of the
more than they used to.
Well, I guess
what they do call are these pick plays, Ryan. They just showed it right in there. That call against
Kansas City had one as well.
One of the luxuries and privileges of being at the top is you get to make decisions and then point at somebody else when it doesn't pan out the way that you want it to.
Right. But maybe I shouldn't have started there, because the lead in this is that there was a feeling, and we talked about it all day yesterday, that the officiating cost the Lions a game on Monday night, and it was a very important game.
No, it was an extremely important game, and when you're a player, every game counts. And so if you're a part of that game and you see the helmet to helmet call when a guy's clearly going for the interception, or there's a defensive pass interference that's not called, and then two illegal hands to the face that results in points and a loss from the other team, it is very difficult to stomach those things. And when they become so public, it's hard for us to ignore them.
It's not just one game. While this was one game, there's only 16 in a season. It has implications. This could impact whether they get to playoffs or not, which impacts the trajectory of many players' careers. So it's serious.
Yep.
That's the point of it here. And look, we all understand there were going to be missed calls.
Right.
There were going to be bad calls. You can't get everything 100% right. But there feels as though there is a spotlight on it, unlike anything we've seen before. Technology plays a role in that. Dan, is there anything they can do about that immediately?
No, it's a long-term fix. The new agreement between the league and the referees, the new CBA they just signed, focuses on training and putting resources into training. There's a lot of turnover in the officiating ranks. The younger ones will get more training at their own request. But yeah, this is something, unfortunately, people are going to have patience with.
Yeah.
And that's not a big thing.
Patience is not something that usually equates very well with football fans
Yeah,
or
or
fans of
officiating.
anything for that matter. Okay, we are now officially counting down the days till the start of the NBA season. And speaking of NBA countdown, Maria's got some friends.
Oh, yeah, the party's starting early. Jalen and Jay Will were in the building.
Yes, sir.
Yes, and we will also be with you at 7 o'clock tonight for Countdown. But let's talk about Carson Edwards. 8 3-pointers in the third quarter of Tuesday's preseason victory over the Cavs.
Greeny.
What?
Greeny. You hear that name?
Yeah.
You hear that name from the Big Ten?
Yeah.
We talked about this during the year, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
We talked about this during the year. This young man can shoot it, right, Jay Will?
This is what you need to do. A Michigan guy pulling for a Purdue guy?
Hey, man, that
Make it
boy
happen.
shoots the lights out. You hit 8 threes in one quarter. I've never hit 8 threes in a game.
And they were 30-footers too, but I do remember he scored like 42 against Villanova. We should have expected it. All right, Joel Embiid, dominant for the Sixers, 24 points, 8 rebounds, 22 minutes of play.
He should be dominant. It's preseason. He's playing against Christian Wood and Thon Maker. Andre Drummond and Blake Griffin didn't even play in this game. I don't want to
So
hear
you're
about
just going
this
to
right
take
now.
all of my excitement away.
No, I just want him to remain healthy, and I want Ben Simmons to go next level.
That's where I was going exactly. Great to see him out there healthy so early in the year.
All right, well, take a look at the 76ers. They have high expectations this year, and they will do so with a squad that's seen a lot of changes. Remember, in the offseason, key contributors are gone, mostly shooters and closers. Jimmy Butler's out. J.J. Redick is out. But, you know, Philly All-Star Al Horford is on the way. Josh Richardson is there, and he's a two-way star. So let's walk through the expectations that we have for the 76ers coming into this season. For you, Jay Will.
Yep, go ahead. You can say it.
I know. He's already
Why?
picked them to win the title.
Yes.
Just period. So we're going to start there, Jalen. And just sit back.
Go ahead.
And listen to why that's going
Win
to
the
happen.
East or win the title?
No.
Well, look, I think they're going to be the best defensive team in the league. I think them and the Clippers are the best defensive team in the league. And I think what's going to happen in the West is you're going to have all these teams that are going to beat up on each other.
True or false? You picked the 76ers.
I did.
Okay.
I'm owning it right now.
Okay.
I'm not even laughing about it. I'm telling you seriously. I think it's a chance for them.
Well, this gentleman isn't far off, Maria, because I picked him to win the Eastern Conference as well. Now, if Ben Simmons is making jump shots, that puts them in position to win it all. But I still have to go with, if you come out of the gauntlet in the Western Conference, to me, you got to be favorite. There's so many top teams out there. The Lakers, the Clippers, the Rockets are all going to be in the conversation. Don't sleep on the Denver Nuggets, the Utah Jazz. So the Sixers have a chance to take an easier path.
That's my point.
If they could get series over with, 4-0, 4-1, that type of thing.
I agree with you. And I think, nobody talks about Matisse Thybulle. Like, he's one of the best defenders that's going to be in the league as a rookie. So I think they have the pieces to match up against Giannis pretty well.
Well, Jalen brought it up.
You're not laughing at me now, though.
I'm
See?
not.
So when Jalen backs me, now all of a sudden it's not
When Jalen
funny.
says it, I believe it. When Jay Will says it, I struggle a little bit.
Questionable.
I'm just an elder statesman. One name that we didn't mention is going to be key for Philadelphia. Josh Richardson.
Agreed.
Yes.
You talk about them playing D. He's a
He can
terrific
defend.
athlete. He's an improved shooter. That level of effort is going to make a difference playing against so many top point guards.
Remind
in the
us,
league.
Jay Will, why Ben Simmons' shot is going to be better, because you've
teach
done some
us.
recon there.
I just think this summer has been huge for him because I think a lot of times, this when you first come into the league, the amount of people that you listen to influences your confidence. So I think for him, he's decreased that. It's only his shooting coach, Chris Johnson, and his head coach, Brett Brown. And I think this summer, I've seen it. It's different.
But
It's different.
you know what's different? Being followed by the media as a basketball player or being followed by the paparazzi.
The lifestyle,
Right?
fair.
Okay.
Facts.
So now he said he fell back in love with the game.
Yes.
Yeah.
So now his jump shot seems to be something that he's
Elder statesman.
Elder statesman,
Elder
knocked down a
statesman.
three. This is just a preview of your nightcap that's coming your way on Countdown at 7 p.m. Eastern. You're welcome. Just throw that on
That's a good
there.
plug.
Coming up on Get Up. You like that?
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, Jerry Jones.
We need that.